All right, so my sister just bought me a ring light phone stand holder because I didn't have one and she got so frustrated she got it for me for Christmas. So thank you, Emma. This first video is for you. But I thought it might be fun since it's December 30th to kind of go over like how my planning went in 2024. So kind of like a Hobonichi 2024 flip through. So let's get started. So this was my 2024 Hobonichi. I got the A5 cousin, the Techo cousin. Came with this pen. I got this cover, which I really liked, but I didn't get the plastic cover. This Hobonichi has like everything in it. If you want like a planner that has every single possible thing, this is it. I had been using Passion Planner previously, but I wanted to try it out, not just for the future log, which is typical, and the monthlies, but they have a weekly section, which is similar to kind of how Google Calendar does their hourly time blocks. So I really wanted it for this, but more importantly, because the Passion Planner has this, I really wanted to make use of daily pages. You'll see the usage of it. There's a lot of blank in here. It's not very consistent, but we'll get into it. Clearly, I made use of year in advance spread, mostly to plan out things like travel and events and things like that. I didn't always refer to this, but it was still good just to like have. And then here are the monthlies. Clearly you can see them being used to varying degrees. And I like the monthlies. These are good. I'm not always referencing these, but I still like having them for planning purposes. Now, December, you'll notice there's not much going on here. That's because I used a December monthly in my new Hobonichi because they had it and I wanted to start using it. And Hobonichi includes a couple extra months in the monthly spreads too for like that future planning. Then it goes straight into the weeklies. Now these I used quite frequently initially, stopped using them as frequently later on. I used it a lot during grad school. You can see here it was pretty blank. And I think something I realized was I think I do better when this, like I love having it written down, but it was starting to feel a bit redundant with the Google Calendar. And lately I've been using the Google Calendar weekly view like a lot more frequently. So I've been doing that instead. So this was grad school. So I blocked out when my classes were, when things were due. So I had an idea of what to expect. Then at this point I was fully laid off with nothing going on. So I didn't have much need for planning as much. Then I started kind of going back and forth. I think I was traveling around this point. And this is around where I was kind of rethinking, do I actually want this whole thing within my like physical planning? Now this I really enjoyed. So this, what I used at the beginning, one of the first things I did, I planned out like ideas for what I wanted my 2024 resolutions to be. And then I wrote out all my resolutions here. And my mom wrote like a nice little thing in Korean for me. Wrote all my resolutions, my goals, my finance goals, and my trip budgets here. I had a lot of finance goals this year, and even though I did end up laid off, I did achieve pretty much every single one of them. I think technically even this one. But yeah, just keeping track of the resolutions. It was nice to just have it in my planner just so I had it. But I also have my resolutions up on the wall in front of my desk, which I believe I shared in my ADHD planning video. If you want to go check that out, self promo. But yeah, I really liked having this. I like that Hobonichi has this sort of turning the page to a new year. And I tabbed it with some washi tape, even though this frequently lost its tackiness. Then we get into the daily pages. This, I would use the monthly blank page as my budget. I'm changing that up this year, not just because I'm dealing with a smaller size, but because I have a fun new planner for it. So the dailies was really where I struggled adjusting to with the Hobonichi. You'll notice that here there's like a daily timetable and like the invisible line and the regular thing. The timetable felt really redundant if I was already time blocking everything in the weeklies, and it didn't feel like something I wanted to do every day. So initially I was just writing like kind of diary entries, and then notes if I had any. So it was very kind of all over the place, right? It was more, again, Korean notes and journaling. This was a comic I drew about being on my period. But yeah, so initially it was just kind of diary stuff, but then that only lasted a little bit. Then it turned into diary and notes. Oh, this was my color theory notes, which were interesting. Yeah, you can see I'm kind of struggling to figure out how to use all the real estate here. Drawings, things like that. That was my cute Jubilee cosplay. Trying to kind of journal, struggling to find a good balance here. In grad school, we did a lot of Linda Berry exercises, and something she would do is kind of the X method, I think. But basically, you would write, like, you would draw like a big T, like a cross, and then you would write out like things you did, things you saw, things you overheard, and then draw one of them. And you're supposed to spend like 7 minutes or whatever on it. I did not do that. I just kind of wrote out things, and I think I tried to write out 7 things and a thing I overheard. So I did that for a little bit. Oh my god, this was the Nymphia Wind lip sync. I was like, whoa! So here, I'm using these way more for grad school to take notes of things I needed to do. Some thumbnailing going on here. Here, I was kind of getting more into planning. I was thinking about doing community college for get an associate's in Korean and then getting a doctorate, and those plans are a little on hold right now. And then we're in December. So we're getting a little more. I started using it more because I really wanted to plan. I was getting some freelance clients for assistant and design work, and I really wanted to plan out for 2025. So here I was brainstorming what I wanted to do for 2025, narrowing down my goals, and then I had just started watching some Jashi Corinne videos. It's so funny that the last part is Corinne because it's so close to my name, but spelled completely different and pronounced differently too. But she introduced the idea of cyclic planning. Now, I had already done quarterly planning. That's how I view the year, is like the year, 4 quarters divided up into 3 months per quarter, divided up into 4-ish weeks per month, basically, and 7 days a week, obviously. But her idea of the cyclic is not sticking to the months, but rather to the weeks. So within a quarter, you have 3 cycles of 4 weeks and then a rest week. And it rounds out to about 3 months, but it is a bit different. You have the exact same number of days within each cycle rather than the monthly deviations. So I thought I would try that. So you can see I have like Q1, ABC. This is all like webcomic planning. It's notes for something else. So I was really planning that out, thinking about like additional projects that I was thinking of. Some client notes. And then this is for, I have a residency coming up. So I was thinking about, well, how do I want to spend my time during that residency? So kind of trying to use this hourly blocking a little more frequently to kind of plan out like, well, how many hours do I want to spend doing what? What do I really want to accomplish? And then I'm starting, at this point, I'm using my new Hobonichi in the monthly, and I want to get used to working out of the daily pages. So I start using this actually for the to-dos. I tried time blocking a little bit and using the rest of the space as like my daily notes. So I did that for a bit, which I kept forgetting about this area and writing in there. At this point, I'm on vacation. And again, I'm going back to some more hardcore planning and planning out what my day-to-day will look like. And here I'm really getting like deep into it, which I feel like is its own video all on its own, where I'm doing all this math to essentially, and this time blocking to break down how many hours I will actually be able to put aside on my projects, and then building out the goals based on the hours I can actually spend on the goals. That is the very chewed down version of that. I feel like, again, this whole how I'm coming up with my 2025 goals is like its own video because it was very involved. But yeah, I was basically flipping back and forth between this, and this page constantly in terms of setting up for my 2025 planner. And then we get to the fun stuff. Yes, so this is, I blocked this off for like, here's the last day, and here's like the more fun pages. So I wanted to record The hikes I went on, my goal was 10 hikes. I only really went on 4. And I was trying to rate them. And then all the books I read and the movies and TV shows that I watched. And originally, I wanted to cook some of the recipes from MasterChef and Great British Bake Off, like the really well known, like risotto and I don't know, like a profiterole or bread or something, but I just didn't have any time for it. But I'm happy to say that I did accomplish my resolution of reading 20 books in the year, kind of by the skin of my teeth, because the last book, for some reason, I wanted to read was Fire and Blood, and that book is a monster. And I definitely knocked it out of the park with my 2024 movies and TV shows. Technically, Wicked should go in here. I saw 20 as well. So, pretty good year for this stuff. I'm very happy. I feel more like creatively, mentally, like I feel better about how I consumed my media this year, because my big rule for the books was I could not have read it before, and for the movies and TV shows, I obviously could not have seen it, and it could not be like a reality show or a documentary. It needed to be like narrative fiction. Like, I wanted to be watching narrative. And for the books, for the most part, I was also, again, reading fiction. And especially as a storyteller, I think it's very important to pull from lots of different sources of media to influence your own writing and storytelling. So I feel really good about what I consumed. I feel like I watched and read a lot. I feel like my brain has expanded from just the creativity and storytelling and narrative choices, and just having a new flow of influences. Like, I think this is good. So very happy about this. I would love to do kind of a review of everything that I read and everything that I watched. Those feel like 2 separate videos again, if I get around to it. But very happy about this, and the little ratings and a little summary like of what I thought. And then I had podcast backfill that I wanted to get through, so that was how I was tracking it. Now, in the Cousin, you'll notice there's not a lot of these kind of free grid pages. The original Hobonichi Techo has a lot more, but in the Cousin, not so much. I keep wanting to call it Hobonichi Techo, but anyways. I don't really know how to use this spread. You'll see I haven't even touched it in my new one. I was trying to make kind of like a general schedule, but this is like confusing me because it's not hourly. So I don't know. If you have suggestions, please let me know. And then this I kind of used at like the very end. Didn't know how to use this, but one of my goals had been to lose 15 pounds, which I didn't quite accomplish. I think by the end of the year, the difference was closer to like 10 pounds, like 9.6. But total, I did lose 13.3. So I got very, very, very close. So still a win in my book. Weight loss and fitness is difficult, and not something I'm used to having to do. So to me, it's a big win. And you can see it was still trending down, even though it was kind of all up and down over the place. So I decided what I wanted to do, because I had been tracking all this in a spreadsheet and in a notebook. I was using the Blogilates fitness journal for that. And I decided I wanted to visualize it, because I thought that would be cool. So first I did the weight up here. Basically, I started with what I knew was my highest and just went down to what I knew I wouldn't go lower than. And then I still have some space at the bottom, so I used that for my body fat percentage. So I have these 2 different lines, obviously not to scale because I was not consistent in how I measured it, but it was still encouraging to see overall this downward trend, and then just kind of put my stats at the bottom to kind of reflect on. I definitely did not use this favorites page, of which there's only one in the Cousin. And then here's this My 100, which initially was just going to be things to read and watch, which for the reading, I did about, I don't know, half of it. But there's a lot that I still haven't read or seen. I'm very bad at finishing K-dramas, but this didn't really get used that much. Then I kind of fill this out beginning, end of year. The blue is the more recent stuff. The black was at the beginning of the year. Didn't really use any of this. And then this I tabbed off because this I was going to use for journaling and for miles run, because originally my goal was to run 300 miles, which I got nowhere near accomplishing. But I did get to 109 miles. It might even be 112. But still, I broke 100, which I already knew I wasn't going to hit 300, and I didn't start running again until a couple months ago, so I was very happy to even break 100. And originally I was tracking how often I journals. This number I feel like is not correct. I think I journaled more, but it's still, I didn't stick with this, obviously. And yeah, that is my 2024 book. These two books were primarily the two books I used in 2024. So again, this for planning. Love, by the way, love this pen. The black did run out in like the last 3 months, but love the pen, love the cover, love everything. And then this is the Blogilates Fit Journal, which I used kind of regularly. And then I didn't stop using it. And I was using the version before this too, so I bought this kind of towards the beginning of the year. So these were the two main things I was using for 2024. The other thing I was using, this is my idea book with this cool sticker that I got.
Hi, it's Editing Kareen. I realized because I was originally planning to film the 2024 and 2025 Hobonichi as one video until I realized it was really, really long. I never filmed an outro and I don't feel like doing that. So here's the outro. Uh, Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of chaotic, loose, messy flip through of a 2024 Hobonichi. I feel like it's realistic. There's a lot that was just blank, empty pages. I'm using this planner for functionality, for just getting used to it. There's no aesthetic drive behind it. It was just for me. So, at the very least, I'm not expecting anyone to get inspired by the beautiful layouts because there are no beautiful layouts. But what I am hoping is that maybe you'll see it and not feel bad if your planner is not like gorgeous, gorgeous layouts. Because gorgeous, gorgeous layouts are fantastic and they're great. But I don't think they're for everyone, and they're not always the most sustainable. And the most important thing about a planner is that you use it. And even though I didn't use it every single day, I did use it throughout the year, and it worked for me, and I liked it. So that's the most important thing. It doesn't have to be completely filled. I don't feel like I wasted my money on this planner, which it's expensive. So I think that's a really big plus if I don't feel that I wasted my money on it and I didn't use every single page all the way up. That said, though, I did purchase a smaller planner for this year because I wanted to see if I could use up more of the pages. So even though it's okay to not use all the pages, it is nice when you do. It's very satisfying. I'm tired. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I'm kind of doing an unofficial series. I just really like planning and New Year's and goal setting and things like that. And I had fun talking about planning in my last one. So I'm exploring doing more planning videos. So if you like stuff like this, let me know. If you don't let me know because I'm going to make it if I want to. If you are using Hobonichi, let me know how you're using that time schedule thing, how it's supposed to be used would be helpful. I know some people kind of do their own thing, but I'm curious about people who make that layout work without altering it too much. But yeah, enough said. Thanks for watching part one of my 2024-2025 Hobonichi flip through video, and look forward to the next one. Bye!